So back in university, I had a lot of crushes on girls, but I was still super shy. I was shy all through high school and as a kid or whatever for reasons that I'll talk about at another time. But I was still super shy in university, and but I obviously you're in university. There's girls everywhere and everything, and I had one crush on this redheaded girl that I used to see on the campus all the time. And yeah, I got a thing for red hair. It is what it is. And yeah, she dressed really nice. She had a cool little style, and you know, but I was like kind of intimidated at first, but I managed to get to a point where I was like speaking to her and she would speak to me when we passed each other or, whatever. But seemed to always like kind of keep me at a distance, and I was like, I don't know if I was trying to be cool, and so I was keeping her at a distance or whatever. I don't know, but I was always like speaking to her or whatever, but I never like tried to like ask her to do anything or try to make something happen or whatever. But we did manage, in spite of all of that, to build a little rapport. And in one of the little brief conversations that we had, she talked to me about working at Betsey Johnson, who is a fashion designer. She had a boutique down in Rittenhouse Square at one point in time. I think she's pretty well known now, but I had never heard of her at that time. And it's not like I know shit about fashion anyway. But um, anyway, so this girl worked down at Betsey Johnson, and I would go down to Betsey Johnson. It was like a mile away from the campus. I had no reason really to be down there, but I will always pass by to say what's up to her and see what was going on and try to make some small talk, and but she seemed to always like standoffish about it, and so I guess eventually I didn't get the courage up to really let my intentions be known. She never really seemed to be responding to whatever, and it never progressed beyond that. So I started getting into other things, going to raves, and doing my little thing or whatever. And so maybe like I don't know how much time passed, but it was easily 5 years, and maybe even up to 10 years later. I happened to be walking down South Street with a couple people, and this girl pops up, and my heart like jumped or whatever because I hadn't seen her in all this time, and she was still just as cool to me. She still had the red hair, still looking cute, still had the cool style and all of that stuff. And I was really excited to see her. Um, but in that moment, I got just as shy as I was like 10 years ago when I first saw her or whatever. So she told me she was working in a consignment store on South Street. So I went back there one day and I talked to her, and she seemed to be still so um, like standoffish or whatever. And I don't know. And it was really, really weird, even though she kind of seemed happy to see me and I was happy to see her, but she was still really standoffish or whatever. So this was back around the time, I don't know if people still remember Friendster, but this was at the time when Friendster was still around. And so I just didn't like the way that little interaction went. And so I went to, I looked for her on Friendster and I found her. And then I wrote to her and I was like kind of bothered, and I was like, yo, man, like, something was weird about seeing you. I was excited to see you, and you were all standoffish, and like, like I was some stranger or something like that, and it was weird. And I was like, I don't even know why you did this. I always just tried to be nice to you, blah, blah, blah. I guess I was being a little nice guy in that moment. And she writes back to me, well, I always had this crush on you, and you seem so cool, and you never seemed like you wanted to talk to me. Like, you always never hung around long enough, and you never asked me anything or whatever, so I didn't think you were interested in me. But I always had this crush on you, so I just was really standoffish because I didn't think that you liked me, right? So at first I was like, what? I couldn't believe it because I had this crush on her all this time. And now 10 years later, 5 or 10 years later, I'm finding out that she has a crush on me as well. And it was really, really crazy. I didn't believe it actually. And I asked her to call me on the phone because I thought it was like somebody pranking me or something like that. And so we ended up like talking, and it was crazy. And then it all kind of came out that she had the crush on me, like she said, and I had the crush on her. And then the only problem was, at that moment, she had a boyfriend. So even though we had that nice conversation, it didn't really go beyond this. So more time passes. I don't really like talk to her anymore because it almost felt even worse that, like, now I have no chance with her because she's with somebody, and I've wasted all this time when I should have just tried, to ask her out or something like that. But it just never happened. And then some more time passed. And then I ended up telling someone, no, no, no. What happened is, on LinkedIn, they give you these suggested, um, suggested connections or whatever, whatever. And then she popped up on this, and this was like maybe like a good 5 years after seeing her on South Street or whatever when she was working at the consignment shop. And I was like, well, I'm gonna reach out to her and see, maybe she's single now, maybe we can make something happen and it will be cool, you know. And so I sent, well, because I don't think I knew her last name, or I don't think I remembered her last name, but somehow we got connected through LinkedIn. And I thought this was my chance. And so I made the connection, and I don't know if it was ever accepted, but now that I had her last name, I was like, okay, I'm going to look her up on Facebook. I don't know if this classifies as cyber stalking. I don't know. But, so I go to her Facebook page, and I see on her wall people posting messages saying, please let us know where you are. Let us know that you're okay. No one's going to be, I don't know, like no one's going to be angry. Just tell us what's going on or whatever. And it was just like a bunch of messages like this. And I didn't understand what was going on. And so it turns out she was missing. And so I Googled her name or whatever, and then I found like a bunch of articles talking about this search going on for her. And the last time she was seen, she was in the woods, or like going into the woods or whatever, and nobody saw her after that. And so basically what happened was, they found her. She had, I think, drowned in a river or something like that, and they finally found her. She was deceased. And that was it. I didn't have a chance to ever connect with her or talk to her that much, and you know, I don't know. I kind of have this regret that I didn't try to talk to her. And no matter how it would have gone, it would have been nice to have had this person in my life. And I think what I got out of this is sometimes you just have to take a chance and see what happens or something. I don't know what I learned. It just sucks, and yeah.